You haven't been cleaned in months, man. Hey guys, what's going on? It's me, Will Patterson, here again with another video, and today we're talking about the struggles of being a freelance designer. This video is sponsored by Dev Mountain. So I talk a lot on this channel about freelance design. In fact, it's all about that. But it's about me, and I want to give my opinions and things and thoughts that I have to do with some of the struggles that we have and misconceptions other people have about design. And if you're wondering whether you want to be a designer, whether it's a good job choice or not, or whether you want to work in a studio rather than freelance, then this video is going to help you a lot because it's going to give you a good perspective. And also there is a new video coming out very soon, which is basically a camera that's following me about on a day-to-day at my job. So that will give you some good insight. So here are 4 struggles of being a freelance designer. Struggle number 1 is money. Money is a huge topic, and we have jobs to get money, but at the same time, my job isn't all about money, it's about doing what I love doing. And you'll see that a lot of YouTubers, a lot of creative people say this, that it's all about basically what they love doing, but also it has a lot to do with money as well. It's a way of making money and having a living, being able to buy the things you need. Now it's really strange because as designers, we're creative people, and some people label us as artists, so that means that we generally get a bit pretentious with ourselves sometimes. We assume that we do this artwork and the job that we have out of a pure passion for the job and the artwork. Say a painter. Have you ever heard of the term a starving artist? Someone who paints these magnificent paintings, something that could be worth millions, but they never get paid because they just are so infatuated with their work. Well, this is the kind of thing that happens with a lot of creatives when they're starting out, and also creatives that have been in the industry for a long time. They get so caught up in creating stuff and making things look brilliant, and they create the most incredible things, but they're not very good at monetizing that or making money on that. One thing that we need to learn when we're actually getting into freelancing is that money isn't always there, and you have to get it. There's not an employer that's going to pay you every month. You have to make sure that you put the work in that's necessary to get the money out of it. So it could be a huge burden and a responsibility sometimes to be able to afford or to get the money to afford things in life. Now this could be helped with parents, if you've got parents that can help you. It could be helped by getting a loan, which I wouldn't say is a good option to go down to, but sometimes you have to do it. So artists and creatives, when they're starting out, are all focused on the passion, and they say that their work and the creative work will get them the job themselves and they'll get money from that themselves, which is not true in the slightest. You can be really bad at your job and get a lot of money for what you do. There's a term that I read in a book which is called feast and famine. Design work and being a freelancer is a lot like feasting and famine, because we sometimes get loads of client work where everyone just wants work straight away at this certain period of the year, and you can't get all that work done, and then at some points there is just no work. There's no one who wants the work, and it happens completely randomly sometimes, and we sort of get stuck because during that feast time we use the money that we have thinking that in a few months down the line, when we get that new client, we'll get that money back. But in reality, what happens is that we spend it and nothing else happens. We just spend it, and the money slowly accumulates back in the account if you're good with money. So you have to remember, when you're a freelancer, sometimes you'll get a client, but you have to be careful with the money that you earn. You can't just spend it all. You have to be realistic with it and look to the future. Be intentional about spending money. And there's an end note on the money section. I'll just say this, you earn money now that you started 2 years ago. So I'm earning the money that I worked for 2 years ago, and that's the way that I see it. You see, what I'm doing now, I class this as work, but I also love it because it's a passion. I'm going to get paid for this 2 years down the line. This is going to pay off for me 2 years down the line. What I'm doing today is going to pay off tomorrow, and that's what you've got to see as a designer, that you don't get instant reward. It actually comes over time. Very rarely will you get instant reward. So be careful with your money. Make sure that you find a way to monetize your things and make money, because otherwise life gets a lot stickier and messier. Being a good businessman doesn't mean you're a good designer, and being a good designer does not mean you're a good businessman. You have to have a balance of them both to make it in the freelance world. The second struggle for freelance designers, or freelance anyone, is motivation. Have you ever just wanted to get into a project that you've been starting to think about, and you're like, yes, I'm really motivated for this, and then you sit down at your computer desk and you're just like, well, that motivation's gone. where's it gone? So you procrastinate on Facebook, Instagram, do some hand lettering and say that you're doing the work, but you're not really doing it because you're so demotivated. Well, we all get like that sometimes. But with freelance designers, when you are doing it yourself and when you're by yourself in the office all the time and people are wanting work and you have deadlines to meet, motivation is super important. People misconceive what motivation actually is. People think that you get motivated by something else, like with a motivational video. And that is true. You can become motivated through something like a video, but in reality, you can actually motivate yourself by just doing the work. I think the motivation comes from the doing. The hardest part is just starting the work you're doing there. And as you break through that sort of barrier or that level where you're like, nah, then that's when motivation comes in. Set goals. I set goals for my work to reach realistic goals, ones that give me a very good reward very soon. And what that does is it lets me have a vision for where I'm going. It's like putting a carrot at the end of a stick if I think about it, but it works because I'm getting the carrot at the end. I'm not just blindly looking saying, yes, the compass is telling me to go in this direction. I'm actually looking at where I am and I'm saying I want to go over there. The next step is over there. I'm going to reach that step and I'm going to reward myself. And I don't mean just by buying stuff, but motivation can help if you set a goal to where you get a certain amount of things or a certain amount of money or this new client, and then you reward yourself by going out for dinner, getting a Nintendo Switch or stuff like that. My biggest motivation in my job is to bring people on to work with me in person, like here, right here. I want a team of people to actually work with me. And I've put goals in place to do that, and that's how I'm going to get there. And a lot of people ask me how I get to where I am now, and it is literally through goal setting. I just set myself a realistic goal every day to do something. Sometimes I don't do it, sometimes I do it, but that's just the case. Now, when you're not motivated, it's probably because you don't see a fun side to what you're doing. You've got to have fun. So I spend time out during my day just having fun. I'll either bring, nowadays I bring my Switch up to the office and I'll play that for an hour during my lunch break, or I'll just create something fun on my iPad. I'll do something to spark that passion, drive in me again to do the work great. The third struggle of a freelance designer is isolation. Now, I don't want to get too deep on this topic, but I'm going to leave a link down below to a podcast that Design Cuts and a few other designers have talked about, which really spoke to me as someone who works by themselves and people don't really understand my job where I live. Isolation is a huge thing. It's basically where you just don't feel like anyone's around you. It's kind of like loneliness. And when you work in a freelance setting, believe it or not, if you're like me, you'll spend around 9 to 10 hours a day in an office by yourself most of the time. Yeah, you'll talk to people online, but there's no physical human interaction, which is really weird, seeing how there's 100,000 of you watching, but it's crazy that people, you just feel so isolated. For me in my job, I started to feel like this a few months ago when I upped my hours in my job because I needed to work more. But the problem is that I wasn't seeing enough of my wife and I wasn't seeing enough people, but I just felt isolated in this room. And I love this room. It's my office, studio, whatever you want to call it. But isolation really can destroy what you do, and it can bring depression, creative block, anxiety and stuff like that. So being isolated it just sucks. I don't know how else to explain it, but this is a struggle of freelancers who work by themselves. So how can you combat isolation? I have found that going to a coffee shop to work combats my isolation. It sounds really weird, but if I'm in a place where people are just eating or drinking coffee and I'm not even talking to people because I'm all grumpy in the corner just doing my work on my iPad, even if I'm in there just doing my work, things that I can do when I'm outside, like emails or doing lettering or concepts for a client, I find that sometimes I work better, but not only that, I feel a lot less lonely. I feel like I'm part of or with people. I don't just feel like I'm just by myself. Another thing you can do is connect to creatives online. Now, this is kind of ironic because what you do when you connect with creatives online is that you bounce back kind of like, oh yeah, I get that. I understand what you're talking about. So having people in your circle, in your job, actually helps a lot. Sometimes I've spoken to a few people online and I'm in a position where a lot of people want to speak to me, and it's great because you guys love it and I love it. And I get into a position where I speak to people and I'm like, yeah, sometimes I feel lonely and just isolated in this room. Sometimes I get anxious and my brain starts overworking. But I chose to meet with them, not to get something out of it myself, but so we could both come together and understand each other and just bounce ideas off each other. But what that does is it stops you feeling so isolated. It stops everything being in your head and you're getting it out in the open. You're actually talking to someone who understands your terminologies, the way that you think, and if you're complaining about not getting paid or something like that, they understand that too. So go and connect with new people that you never thought you would connect before online, but be careful, people, if you're young, don't connect with strangers, connect with people that you know that do great work. Another thing you can do is speak to your wife if you wanted to. I've got a wife. She is currently starting to work for me, which is nice, or work with me, should I say. She doesn't like me saying work for me, even though I like to say it. Naomi's being kind of like a PA to me. I don't like saying PA because it's not really that. She's more of my carer. Naomi's my carer and she is helping me live. And I talked to her about my job and she doesn't understand, but this is how awesome having a wife is, especially a wife who is Naomi, which you can't have. She's mine. Even though she doesn't understand what I'm talking about most of the time, she'll sit there and listen to me and help me go through it in my mind, just to sort of defrag my mind. And that is a really important aspect, to have relationships that do that for you. And number 4, the last struggle of a freelance designer is time. Time is a huge aspect. A lot of people think, it really grinds me, because a lot of people think that we have a lot of time. Like, because I do videos online and I get paid by them, they must assume that I must have all the time in the world because all it was a 2-minute video they saw online, and that's it. You see, a lot of people believe that us freelancers, because we're self-employed and we choose our own hours and we're our own bosses, that we can give ourselves breaks whenever we want, and that we can just go out and do whatever we want whenever we want and choose who to work for, and we can do stuff like that. But the reality is so much more different. My wife, she's currently employed full-time in a nursery, and basically I work double the amount of hours she does, and I'm self-employed. There's no one else telling me to work, but what I do know is that I do need to work to get those deadlines. So if you're one of those people that annoyingly says that you have a lot of time because you're freelance or because you're self-employed or whatever, then just keep in mind this quote: I can work whichever 16 hours in a day I want. How true is that? And it is very much like that. I work on average 9 to 10 hours every day in the office, and work does not stop. I go home and sometimes it's emails and I have to do them. Sometimes if I'm working with people in Australia, because I'm on literally the other side of the world, they want to talk to me whilst I'm going to bed, and I need to do that to secure people and to make sure I'm giving them a good experience. It's all stuff like that people have to think about. And also right now it is 9:45 at night and I'm sat here in my office on a bank holiday Monday, a national holiday, making a video for you guys. Not because I have to, because I love to, and also because it's part of my job. I have to do this. I have to put the work out there for you to see, and because I value you. Make sure that you're organized as well. Organization is a huge part of getting enough time in your day. Set yourself 3 goals out of your to-do list that you have in a day. Try and do all 3 of them. And if you've done those 3 things and you prioritize them, then you have won that day. It's like a win to lose system. So make sure that you win every day by just getting your to-do list out, bullet journal, whatever, write everything that you want out there. And once you've written it out, go ahead and start or highlight 3 things that you want to do that day, or 2 or 1 thing. It could be 1. And if you've done that thing, you've won. And if you don't know how to do a to-do list, then you can contact my wife and she can be your PA. Wink, wink, not really. Get a PA, someone who can organize your life. If you're a massive designer and you're getting called out different places and you're doing stuff like videos and you have a lot of time pressure with people wanting your attention a lot, then make sure that you get someone or something to guide your time to use it the most effectively. Sometimes outside help can make the difference. My wife, who does outside help, looks at my time schedule for my days and looks at what I'm doing, and then she makes adjustments with meetings and stuff. That's what gives me the most effective time to do the most I can during the day. But those are some of the struggles of being a designer, and I hope they helped you guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. I have got a logo design challenge for you, and me in the future and logo inspirations are all part of this Spartan Challenge. Click the link down in the description below, and I'll be talking about it in my next video a bit more. Click that link down below and be a part of this challenge, and you could win something really cool on this channel. Thanks for watching, guys. Catch you in the next one. See you soon. This video is sponsored by Dev Mountain. If any of you are interested in learning UX design, Dev Mountain is a 12-week design bootcamp intended to get you a full-time job in the industry. You can learn more about this at devmountain.com or click the link in the description below.